everybody, and welcome back to another great edition of my Grue Rume Show. And for the Grue Rume Show today, we got a very awesome guest, and he's an actor, a producer, and a professional wrestler. And I'm talking about Richie Acevedo. And he stars in a horror wrestling movie. Yes, you heard that right. A horror wrestling movie called Wrestle Massacre. It's exactly what it sounds like. It is a brutal horror movie with tons of gore, tons of kills, and wrestling. So if you're a fan of wrestling and horror and gore, this is the perfect movie for you. And they're actually making a second one. They're not really allowed to talk about the second one yet, so I probably won't get a lot out of him about the second movie, but I will ask him about it. And he is also known in the wrestling world as the Cuban Assassin. So yeah, he's won a lot of a lot of belts, and he's been in the wrestling game for a good while. So we're going to talk to him about his professional wrestling life and about his acting life, and of course, Wrestle Massacre. Oh yeah. I am Rocco Cross. I am the host at Stutters. I am the host of the Grue Room. And my interview with Richie will be coming up very soon. This is my Grue Room. And as always, welcome to my nightmares. Stay tuned. Okay, welcome to Grue, and thank you so much, buddy, for coming on the show.
Oh, no problem. Thanks for having me.
Oh yeah, definitely. So like the first thing I want to start out asking you is well, first of all, two of my favorite things is pro wrestling and horror films. So you're involved with both of them.
Yeah,
And,
yeah. Kind of
so
start
like,
off the acting. Kind of start off the acting with some of the horror films and morphed into other things too. So I do all sorts of different films and just finished one film just called Was Once a Hero. It's a Western, stars John Carter Cash, which is Johnny Cash's son. So
oh wow, really?
yeah, so it was a real thrill getting to meet him and work with him. I've got to play his younger brother in the movie, so it's a small part, but it's got a few lines in it, and I got to become good friends with JC, John Carter, and really thrilling. And it's hopefully it'll come out maybe next year. I don't know how long it takes. Each film production is always different.
Well, yeah, that's true. That's true. Yeah. Wow, that's awesome. Johnny Cash's
Yeah,
son.
yeah.
Nice.
We're the same age. He's a few months older. He's actually 53, and I'll be turning 53 in September. So we were born in both of us were born in 1970. So it's kind of weird. The strange thing is my dad met his dad years ago in
Uh-huh.
Memphis when my dad was wrestling in Memphis for Jerry Lawler and Jerry Jarrett.
Oh wow.
Yeah, he met Johnny Cash back then, and here I got to meet Johnny Cash's son. So it's kind of fate in a way, I guess.
Yeah, definitely. That's wow. That's really amazing.
Yeah, nice guy, real nice guy. He even does his own stunts, and same as me, do my own stunts too. So yeah, it's a great guy, real nice, down to earth kind of guy, real friendly and everything. And so I mean, but
Wow.
everybody I met, name wise, has always been super kind and friendly to me. I never had an issue with anybody. I've seen some directors go off, but they've all been nice and kind to me. So I had nothing bad to say so far about my experience in the film and television acting world at all.
Okay. Okay. Nice. And like for wrestling, like what drew you to want to do it? Like what drew you to pro wrestling?
Well, I'm actually second generation. My dad and my uncle were professional wrestlers. They're the original Cuban assassins. Okay. And my dad went to leave because they were both raised in Puerto Rico. Okay. Just
Okay.
make sure I clarify we're really our descendants of our Spanish name, Acevedo, is actually Portuguese from Portugal. Most of my grandparents were from Portugal and settled in, but my grandmother had some Cuban descent also with that, down the line. And my dad, looked like Fidel Sierra, and he come with the character as, Fidel Sierra's personal bodyguard. Said he served in the Cuban army. Now he was in the United States Army and got kicked out because he refused to speak English, even though he could speak English.
Oh
Um, yeah, I went in the United States Marine Corps myself, and then I got kicked
wow.
out, also because I got into a fight. But that's something totally, I told you there was a great experience, not the fight itself, but it was a great experience for being in the Marine Corps. Yeah, I recommend for people who really want to be, serve their country. I don't
Yeah.
recommend for just people just to join just to get a job. You really want to do your best duty to serve our country. And but my dad left the island, and my uncle was married. Uncle Popo, he was married, and his my aunt Lucy, my aunt Lucy, she's told him if he left, she would divorce him. So he stayed on the island. My dad had other people become his tag team partners, such as Frank Sieberstein, and they became the Cuban Assassins. And then,
Oh.
and then my dad would team with Jerry Morrow and become the Cuban Commandos. And then he would work on some territories like over in Portland for Don Owens, and also in Calgary, I met a guy named David Sierra, which we all know is Fidel Sierra. And he got the name from my dad, the Cuban Assassin. He asked permission to use the name. My dad gave it to him. Nobody didn't think in 1987 that I was going to be coming around to wrestling, not even me. And then Fidel went to WCW's, the Cuban Assassin, and that's where I had some troubles when I got into the business in 1989. My dad just flew me up after I graduated and just pretty much told me he didn't want me to have free living, didn't believe in it, and started training me immediately in the apartment to be a wrestler. And he put me under a hood as the Super B, and he threw me out there like sink and swim. He didn't really teach me anything. I just went out there. My first match was against Tough Boy Eddie Watts and PEI, Montague PEI, Prince Edward Island, for Atlantic Grand Prix Wrestling, and Mil Dupree's Atlantic Grand Prix Wrestling, which Mil Dupree is the father of Rene Dupree of La
Oh, okay,
Resistance,
yeah.
WWE. Yeah, that's who I started for. Rene was 5 years old when I started. I actually bought him a drink at the canteen, which we call concessions, but they still call them canteen up there in Canada. And I buy him a drink. I come back to the locker room, and my dad said, "I saw you buy Rene something to drink." I said, "Yeah." He goes, "You may be working for him someday." And sure enough, that's exactly what happened. I've worked for Rene several times up in Canada when he was doing Atlantic Grand Prix Wrestling. And
Wow.
so yeah, so that did come true. And but my dad didn't really. He just taught me the basics. My mentors was Leo Burke and Ron Starr, and Ron Starr is long gone. Which my
Mhm.
movie Boxer versus Wrestler, the character Ronnie is based upon a mixture of Ron Starr and Ron Jeremy, the adult film actor.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I made myself look like Ron Jeremy, and acting like superstar Billy Graham, and
Nice.
and donning the collars and the kind of resembling Ron Starr, because he was my mentor. He's the guy that really smartened me up to the business. And I'll tell you a story real quick.
Yeah.
I was getting the crap beat out of me. My first match, Eddie Watts, I didn't know anything. I just knew simple basics. Dad didn't tell me how to work a match, how a match was supposed to be done, nothing. As soon as Eddie Watts come in, and I met him earlier, he was like a super nice guy. He come into the ring, all character, serious attitude. Got in the ring, he looked like he was pissed off at me.
Oh
And
no.
he looked at me and Emil likes the referee to get you to the corner, make it look for like professional sport, and do the rules. And then he sit there and said, "I don't care who your father is, and I ain't going to be easy." And I looked at the ref and I was like, "What does he mean?" And the ref just shrugged his shoulders. As soon as I go to lock up, he gives me the stiffest knee I ever got in my gut, knocks the breath out of me. I can't breathe. I'm bent over. Comes over, gives me a high knee lift, smacks my back. I stand straight up, and I can't breathe. And all of a sudden I hear Eddie say, "Oh no!" He grabbed. I had the Super B mask on. He put the fingers in the eye socket in the mouth and pulled it down with his left hand and took his right arm and gave me a big old stiff forearm and knocked me straight down to the mat. I was only 180 pounds when I started. So I can't breathe. I got this sting on my back, and he just nailed me straight to the canvas. Next thing I look up, there's a big boot hits me in the head. The only thing I remember is seeing the ceiling lights going around in circles, and I hear ding, 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 ding.
Oh my
And then
God.
the match was over. I come back in the locker room. The refs helping me because I'm not really conscious. I'm still kind of coming to out of this. And I get in
Mhm.
the back, and then everybody's like, "Cuban, Cuban, Cuban, your son's a natural. Your son's a natural." And I'm sitting there thinking to myself, "Natural. I naturally got my ass beat. That's what happened." I mean, and I would, and then every night it was Eddie Watts, and he's beating the hell out of me. I'd be literally crying in the shower so no one could see me cry because I didn't want to embarrass my dad.
Well, yeah.
So, so then all of a sudden we're in Annie-Kanish, New Brunswick, and it's got one hallway, two separate doors, two different locker rooms. I'm peeking out one, the lights out, so people can't really see in down the tunnel, watching the match. So I'm getting ready to go out after that match, and Ron Starr's on the other side. I don't see him, and he goes, Richie, and he has his mouth covered like this. I guess he didn't want no one to know he's talking to him. He's like, Richie, and I looked over and I was like, what? And he's like, when you get out there, I want you to hit him hard. I want you to hit him as hard as you can hit him. And I was like, oh yeah, right. He's kicking my ass. I don't, want to kick him off. And then Ron Starr goes, if you don't hit him when you come back, I'm kicking your ass. And I
Oh
was looking
no.
at him, and he walked away into the locker room, and I was like, I just saw Ron Starr almost kill a guy with his singlet because the guy wasn't working with him, and he just started strangling the guy. And I also saw him hit by a fan that sped on him, coming to him, in Bridgewater, Nova Scotia. He sped on Ron Starr. Ron Starr just hit by the kid, knocked the guy out, broke his nose and everything. And then the security kicked him out after he came to.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And then, so I'm like, this guy's serious, I go out in the ring, I'm wrestling with Eddie Watts, and Eddie Watts is basically doing the same thing, beating the hell out of me. I happen to glance over, and there's Ron Starr sitting in the tunnelway right in the beginning with his arms crossed, and he just shakes his head like this, like no. And I'm like, oh crap. And I'm like, man, I don't want to get my ass beat by Ron Starr. And I'm already taking an ass beating here. What's a little bit more from Eddie? I'd rather just take it from Eddie. So I just drew back and I hit Eddie as hard as I could in his gut. That's when Eddie bent over and his eyes got real big. I said, well, here it comes. And then Eddie just, for the first time, he's like, that's it. Throw another one. And so I threw another punch. Then he's like, that's it. Get on one knee, hit me in the face. And so I'm doing that. He's selling like son of a gun, going back like I'm killing him. And he's backing up as to the corner as I'm punching him. And he grabs my arm, pulls me in. He says, shoot me off and give me a backdrop. So I shoot him off. He comes out. I just bend over and he takes his own bump, and he's selling like a son of a gun. He's got his arm out. So I grab his arm, put it in the hold, and then that's when he started talking to me. And then I looked over at the entrance in the tunnel there, because there's only one entrance. I had to, face Ron Starr, and Ron was gone.
Oh wow.
Then when I got back in the locker room and I sat down, then my dad's sitting there with me, and he goes, I was like, what'd I do? And he's like, it's about fucking time. And I was like, what are you talking about? He's like, Richie, you can't let people just beat and hit up on you. You have to fight back. He goes, you have to fight back in order for them to do anything. If you don't do anything, they just beat the hell out of you. And I was like, well, why didn't you tell me that? And Dad looked at me, he goes, son, I could tell you everything about wrestling, and you'll never learn a damn thing. But if I let you go in there and sink and swim and learn for it on your own, then you'll learn everything. And that's how my dad was. He just taught me the basics, and like, I can only show you how to pedal the bike, but you got to pedal the bike type of situation.
Yeah.
So you're either going to ride or you're going to crash. So
wow.
And that's how my dad is. He's just really old school, and so after that, Leo Burke would give me pointers, and Ron Starr would give me pointers. They became my mentors. They kind of shaping me and crafting me. And I was paying attention to my dad's matches so I can emulate him.
Mm-hmm.
And then Tully Blanchard was one of my favorite wrestlers, so I would incorporate some of Tully Blanchard into my thing there. I always went back to Gorgeous George for the character.
Oh yeah.
I always went to Tully Blanchard for the psychology. I always thought those were the two best heels in the wrestling industry, Gorgeous George and Tully Blanchard. Were the two best heels. They were straight heels, and so I became a heel naturally after I left Grand Prix and became the Cuban Commando after my dad and Jerry Morris tag team named the Cuban Commandos. My dad was still wrestling. I didn't want to take his name away from him.
Yeah, of course.
So I did a military style buzz cut with a little thin mustache and tried to play like a Cuban Commando. My dad's the Cuban Assassin, the Wild Man. So I was trying to do a little bit difference to the character, and then I just became the Cuban Assassin and grew everything out. Because dad would retire in 1993 and then come back out. 1999, where I got to live my childhood dream, become his tag team partner.
Oh,
And
wow. That's so awesome.
so listen, I'm one of the few people who can say that I got to tag with my dad. I also got to wrestle my dad. I wrestled my dad under the mask as Satanicus in Stampede Wrestling and in Can-Am Wrestling. And then I also got to tag with my son and my nephew, and I got to wrestle both my son and my nephew. So I'm one of the few people who can say I have that generation gap there between the two, and got to be their partners and wrestle them too. So I got to have that honor to say that. And, so it's that was kind of like, treat for me, my son too, later on. And then I mean, I would never think about anything like that would ever happen,
Yeah, I know, right?
But, but I mean, that was the wrestling part, my life, kind of sum up a little bit of it.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
And when when you're fighting wrestling, like what's it like when you win like your first belt, like your first championship?
My real first win was a tag team match when I was the Super B tag team with my mentor Leo Burke against Pat Brady and Tough Boy Eddie Watts.
Mm-hmm.
And they worked the heat on me, and I made a hot tag to Leo. And Leo was making a big comeback, boom, 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 boom. Then we go to the 4-way, and then Leo gets the win with the sleeper, and the match is over, right? So my first win was a tag team match with me and Leo Burke, and as 18 years old, I thought was kind of thrilling, But I would only win if I was in tag team matches with Leo Burke.
Oh, okay.
And as individual, I would lose. I even shot an idea to Leo Burke once because he was the booker in the back in the locker room, and he was coming up to finishes, and I asked him if there's a chance I can get to, because I was working Jerry Morrow, Dad's tag team partner. It's like, is there a chance I can do this move and kind of go over? And I shot the idea to him, and he looked at me. He says, "That's a really good idea." And I said, "Yeah." He goes, "Yeah, but we're not going to do it today." I was like, okay. Then I would shoot ideas to Eddie Watts for some spots, and Eddie says, and we had a tape recorder back then with the referee, and the referee would bring him back and answer with Eddie. I send him back and tell him, I tell the referee, can I do this? He'll go to Eddie, tell him, and Eddie he'll come back and he'll tell all this to these different guys. And he'll come to me, he says, "Oh," and Eddie said, "No," and walked away. And then I'll be in a match one day with Eddie, and then Eddie's like, "Hey, you remember that spot you wanted me to do about 2 weeks ago?" And I said, "What spot?" He goes, "Well, I guess we're not doing it tonight either." So says, "You got to remember your spots, kid." It's like real learning experience, So it's the old times, the old days of wrestling. Today is different style of wrestling.
It's a lot different.
What's entertainment wrestling today? Back then, they try to make it look like an athletic, professional sporting event. And today, it's a show. It's completely designed to be a show.
Oh yeah,
really bad, and sometimes with really bad acting. But I'm not going to name names, but
yeah, I totally agree with you there. I mean, like wrestling was wrestling, like when you were wrestling and guys like Bruno and superstar Billy Graham and Larry Sabisco and
sad to hear about Superstar. His wife just released the info about him being put on life support.
I know.
Hope everybody keeps their prayers out. So people will know that the reason why Vince McMahon calls his boys, that his talent superstars and not wrestlers, is because it's after superstar Billy Graham, because that's the mold model that he wanted to go with the He-Man action-like figure, muscle-bound guys.
Oh wow!
And then when the girls came in later, he wanted them to look like Barbie dolls.
Well, yeah, exactly.
Because the thing that was selling them was He-Man dolls and Barbie dolls, and he always catered towards children.
Yeah,
and that was a demographic. The kids grew up and they working jobs and they hated it, so they went from Hulk Hogan to Stone Cold Steve Austin. because they was living vicariously out. The guy beating up his boss.
Well, yeah,
Then,
exactly.
then they grow up again, and then they grow up a little bit more. Then some of them start having kids. And they don't want their kids to see none of that stuff. And now they got John Cena, PG
Yeah.
John Cena out there, you know. And then after that, then people got tired of seeing that little mold of the muscle guys, and they wanted something different. That's where they catered to Brian Danielson, you
Yeah.
know, and or Daniel Bryan, whichever you want to call him, Brian Danielson. They catered to him. Vince couldn't understand it, you know, but they catered to him, and that was the next guy. And then he kept shoving Roman. Listen, people don't understand, this is not Roman Reigns' fault. Roman Reigns is a great wrestler, and he's proved this
Oh,
now
yeah,
to
he
everybody.
is good.
And he earned his spot where he is now.
Mm-hmm.
And he is that good. And he is that good.
Yeah.
He is that
yeah.
good. I mean, his matches are phenomenal, and he deserves that spot. But when Vince was trying to shove him down people's throat, they didn't want that, so they catered to the man Becky Lynch.
Yes.
So they went
right.
to just to rebuttal against Vince. They went to a woman. So you know, and you know, I mean, fans are, you know, if you can't 100% cater to the fans in the wrestling business. You can't have them tell you how you're going to market your things. And but the thing is that you should listen to them to a point.
Mm-hmm.
I always thought that, you know, Roman Reigns at that one, I thought that they really had a big thing. They should have put Daniel Bryan in that Royal Rumble and come down between him and Roman Reigns and have Roman Reigns eliminating. Fans would have been ticked off, and you have your ultimate heel right there, because that's what Reigns is. To get over the fans, you had to become a heel. If they would have just went straight to a heel then, and they would have had the best babyface to go against him, the complete underdog, you would have had your natural feud there. That would have been Roman Reigns and Brian Danielson would have been the Rock and Stone Cold, or Flair and Steamboat,
Mm-hmm.
or Charlotte and Sasha. Either one of those combinations, you know, the Hogan and Andre.
Yeah.
You know, and you know, that would have been that kind of setup. Austin and McMahon. Same, you know, if they would have went that route, they would have had the ultimate heel. They could have put the title on him. The fans would have bought it, and they had the ultimate underdog chasing after the heel.
That's true.
And that would have, and the fans would have been happy with that. But see, Vince, somewhere down along when he gets a little bit older, I think Vince forgot how to change with the times.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay. And dyeing your hair and having a thin mustache and having a girlfriend, a young girlfriend, isn't going to make you change with the times. You know what I'm saying? So sorry, Vince. You know, love what you've done for the business at some point, but you know, even you get old too, so you might as well face it. You know, so see, I don't dye my beard. I don't dye mine, you know, now anymore. Now I'm going as old man Cuban now. So you know,
okay.
love you guys, though, Vince and everybody up there, but you know, I just think that Vince forgot to change with the times himself. People always ask me, what do you think went wrong? Vince went wrong. He just didn't change with the time. I think Vince is stuck. Vince is trying to go backwards to the Attitude Era, and you can't go to that now. That's done. That you can never, once you complete an era, you can never go back to it.
Oh yeah.
You have to reinvent a whole new era.
Yeah.
And I think Triple H has got the best ideas for that. And his ideas are slowly working. It's going to take time. It ain't going to happen overnight.
Oh yeah, of course.
You know, and Rome wasn't built overnight, you know. So you got to give him a chance. And but you know, I just think Vince just forgot that he himself has to change with the times to understand the time. And the best way to do that is Triple H is his best answer. You know, he's still young and an age that he can understand the time.
Oh yeah, and he has a good mind too.
Well, trained by Killer Kowalski.
That's
true. From the old time era, from back in the 50s and 60s. He's got the mindset of Killer Kowalski. He grew up admiring Nature Boy Ric Flair.
Yeah.
And also admiring Harley Race. So there you got two of the best psychologies in actual professional wrestling there. And then he understood the sports entertainment aspect of it when it comes to the showmanship of it. You know, and because he was part of the Attitude Era. So I mean, he's got the best of all that. He was part of the PG era, so he's got the best of all that. I mean, you got a guy that's got complete knowledge of the whole historical facts of the wrestling, where he can go back to here, try this, try that, you know. And I think I mean, he won't get off of Johnny Gargano, which nothing against Johnny Gargano, you know. I think he's trying to see a little bit of Brian Danielson in him, but but no offense, Johnny Gargano, you're not Brian Danielson.
Oh yeah,
you know, like one I was trying to be the Ace Richie Acevedo. I wanted to be long black hair, kind of like a Nature Boy Ric Flair, but called the
Okay.
Ace Richie Acevedo. And the promoters told me this, they said, listen, kid, there's only one Nature Boy Ric Flair and you're not him. So you need to go and do something different. And like the same thing, there's only one Brian Danielson, you know, you need to do something different. I'm not trying to take a pop shot at Johnny Gargano. He's a great worker of today's time of wrestling, and he's got a good mind. He studies his history. He's a big Shawn Michaels fan.
Yeah.
Shawn Michaels is his mentor and teacher, and you got the best with Shawn Michaels, and where Shawn was trained by Jose Lothario. Another good aspect with some of the lucha style wrestling incorporated into that. So you see that in Johnny Gargano.
Yeah, definitely.
And I can compare him, somewhat to a Brian Danielson, but there's only one Brian Danielson. Let's just face it.
You're right.
Nobody's going to get over the goat.
Get over the goat. Yes.
Yeah. So, Johnny Gargano is a nice looking guy. Not that James Bronson isn't nice. I mean, look who he's with. Look who he's married to.
And he's married to one of the Bellas.
Yeah. One of the Garcias now. Can't call them Bellas. They
oh yeah, that's right. So, that's right. Yeah.
So, but and the heck, those two sisters are geniuses. They use WWE what it's supposed to be used for as a platform to move on to something else, and they got their own winery business. They got their own type of different businesses they got going, and that's the reason why they had to retire from WWE completely to venture in that, because anytime they use Bella, then they have to give trademark residuals to WWE, and then when you're doing your own stuff, it's really not WWE. You're just using the name.
Well, yeah, exactly.
Now, so they have to use Garcia, which makes sense. It's just business. It's nothing personal, and I'm sure they're appreciative with WWE making them the stars that they are.
Of course.
Nobody can doubt. That's one thing nobody can doubt. When you become that platform, you become a star. You got to thank Vince McMahon and the WWE. You got to thank them. They got you a platform to perform on, a stage to perform on, and made your image go out there and market you so that you can go out and make money elsewhere. And that, you got to thank them. I don't like as much as everybody else does having the way wrestling is today. I still think the territory system was the best.
Yeah, definitely.
But I can't argue with success either.
They're making a killing right now.
Well, there still are. People think, oh, they're not making no money. We talk about WWE's got their hands in everything.
Oh my God,
Hollywood,
they really do.
To TV series and TV shows. They got their hands in a lot of. They're making money. They're not going nowhere.
Making a lot of money.
And they're going to be there forever. That's what that means.
Oh yeah.
I don't have to agree with it, but I have to accept the fact what people are catering to. And they're more to their attention span is limited. They're more in tune to the faster pace action, and they have a respect when the wrestlers really put their bodies in harm's way, especially when they get injured, man. You see that wrestlers have the more respect than any other sport.
Oh, I know.
When it comes to their people getting hurt, man, it's crazy. Wrestlers are kind of set on a different pedestal. They're like, treated like a demigod. That's completely like a demigod in a way, and that's what I kind of look at it like. The character becomes real, and the person becomes a myth. Like I walk out around here in hometown, where I live in Oak Hill, West Virginia, and in some places, and even in Canada, people are like Mr. Assassin, like that's my actual last name.
Oh wow!
And they call me Cuban, but my name's Richie, and I'm using my real name for the acting. Why would I?
Yeah.
Why would I get? Listen, I appreciate the Cuban character that my dad created and allowed me to use. It's put my name and image out there, and it's really got me into the acting world. And no, I'm not no Rock Dwayne Johnson or Dave Bautista or John Cena, but I am in the acting world, and I am in movies, definitely. and I'm having the time of my life. The only difference I see between me and them is I may one day actually have the possibility to win an Academy Award. Not that they're bad actors; they're good actors. It's just that they get stereotyped as action stars.
Exactly.
And I think Dave Bautista is the best one out of all the wrestlers to be an actor. I mean, he's actually doing other roles besides just action. He's doing multiple different things,
Oh yeah.
you know, and I think he's a better actor than all the wrestling actors out there. I think Dave Bautista is a natural for it.
He's really good. He is, yeah.
Oh, he is, and he's entertaining on top of it. He knows how to have fun. He knows how to play the character to look him for.
Mhm.
He does, you know, he does his homework. He does his research, you know, and he's really good at it. And he really takes pride in his work. He did that even in the wrestling. I met him when he
Yeah.
was Leviathan. And the first time I saw him, man, you're the biggest guy I ever seen in my life. And you know what he said to me? I said to him, I said, are you using the juice on being that big, or is it like, you know, a certain diet? He goes, no, man, I'm on the juice. He was honest.
Yeah.
He told me right. He said, no, man, I have to use the juice, you know.
Well,
He
well,
says,
yeah. To look the way that he did. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
And then I was like, oh man, I'd be scared to do that. And you know what he said to me? He looked at me, he goes, well, you gotta do what you have. He says, you gotta do it if you're gonna be where I'm gonna be at. He was already looking down the road past WWE.
Oh wow.
And this is when he was in OVW.
Oh wow.
Okay. Yeah. And he came to the show in Princeton, West Virginia, because Brian Logan was also in OVW, and had brought some of the OVW guys because he didn't have to pay them. They were allowed to do outside shows. He had to pay
Yeah.
them because they were paid by WWE. They were developmental. And he said, you have to, you know, he goes, you got to be if you're going to be where I'm going to be. So he was seen be past WWE, and he knew what WWE was for as a platform. But he
Yeah. Yeah.
loved wrestling. But Dave loved wrestling. He loves wrestling. He knows his stuff. You watch his matches. You know, he's good, very good wrestler.
Oh yeah.
I
I know.
just hate it's just that Daniel Bryan moment, the Daniel era, you know, Bryan Danielson era there. They kind of brought him in a mix that, you know, wasn't his fault, you know,
Exactly.
and yeah, you know, and he paved the way for people like, you know, Bryan Danielson. I mean, he's a great wrestler, and he's a very good actor, and he loves to have fun, and you can tell that, you know. And I was like, man, that's the whole thing. You got to enjoy life. You got, you know, like a lot of times I don't care about the money or payday. I just care about the opportunity and the experience. I can say, hey, I did that. I had
Yeah.
that experience, and I can tell the whole experience because, you know, I was there. They wasn't, and that way I can say, man, because that's what life is. It's life's about having many different experiences and try to
Oh
make the
yeah.
best
Definitely.
experiences and try to help other people and hopefully encourage people to listen. You don't have to be this machine that's always programmed, and, you know, you can break that cycle and you can do whatever you want to do. They just don't know it.
Mhm.
You know, I mean, like my one friend, man, look, he's got a nice house, family, nice car, nice income, you know, but he's always looking out that window, looking at me having this adventurous lifestyle. And I don't have any money. I rent an apartment, drive you know, a piece of junk car, you know, junker, and I'm having the time of my life, you know, and he's the only guy on the outside he's inside looking out, and he keeps telling me, man, I wish I had your life. I wish I did what you're doing. I said, wow. And he
Oh
said,
wow.
I said, I mean, you did the right thing. It's like there's no right or wrong thing in life. That's what people have to understand. It's just about making what's the smart thing for yourself.
That's
I mean, you got
true.
a beautiful. I said, look what you got. You got a beautiful wife. He was dating the hottest girl in school, married her, and had kids, and he's got wonderful kids.
Oh
And
okay.
his name is Earl. His name is uh, Craddock, is his last name. And I tried to tell him, I said, man, look, you know, there was a famous wrestler, a former world champion named Earl Craddock, and he kind of resembles you in a way. Maybe you might be related to him. You know, I mean, try to encourage him, you know, he says there was. I said, yeah, research it. His name, you know, was Earl Craddock, you know, or was it Carl Craddock? It was one of those names, Earl Craddock, I think it is. And then, but yeah, I was like, man, yeah, you know, and his name was Artie Craddock. His wife's, you know, was Michelle
Hmm.
LaRocco Craddock, and she just became a school teacher. And I was like, man, you guys got it made. I mean, you can sit on your own lawn and look at what you got.
Well,
I
yeah,
said,
exactly.
the only thing I got is I got stories to tell. That's the only difference. I said, you're the one making the bonfire. I'm the one coming over telling the stories. It's the only difference, you know.
That's a really good way of putting it. I like that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we both succeeded at what we wanted to do.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just that one's more profitable than the other.
Yeah.
But you know, but there's memories I have you can't put a price on. There's experiences I have that you can't put a price on. There's place. I mean, I got to see the world. I got paid for it. Of course, I spent the money. I have fun. In the
Mhm.
beginning, lived like a rock star. And then, you know, and then I'm one of those guys that can't stay home. You know, I was like, I got to go, you know, and do something. I got to go do something. I can't just not do anything. I got to
Yeah.
do something.
Yeah.
You know, and he's the kind of guy who wants to be a family man. Hey, you know, I have two grown kids. I wasn't there, you know, for them to a lot of the times of their life, but we still got a good relationship. You know,
Oh, okay, good.
yeah, you know, my son even did wrestling for a little while, for about 5 years. And then he
Nice.
decided it's not for him. He wants to do something else. So he's doing that. He's works at an auto tire shop here in
Oh,
town.
okay.
And my daughter, you know, she works for Ventures on the Gorge, and my son works for Seattle Tony's Tires, and both happy what they got and what they're doing. My daughter's and her friends got their own home house, and they moved
Yeah.
into together and just doing that. And my daughter's going to be 20 next month. My son's going to be 23 in August.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. So I mean, they got their lives,
Yeah,
and
definitely.
and you know, they don't have any kids right at the moment, so they're doing something right by taking their time and not jumping anything.
Oh,
So
yeah, for sure.
yeah, my nephew, he has 3 kids, and he's only 21.
Wow.
He don't even see or talk to any of them, you know. And it's not
Oh,
because
wow.
not his choice, it's because the mothers. Plus, they
Oh,
were all two were young, and the last mother was an older woman. And he was hooked up with an older woman. So I was like, my nephew, you know, he's a boy that wants to play too much. So,
yeah,
you
it
know,
sounds like that.
but he's doing good too. You know, I'm
Yeah.
proud of him too. You know, and he's still trying to do some wrestling and stuff. He does some
Oh, okay.
referee and wrestling still. You know, he still does some of that. So but he's holding a job too. You know, and
Oh, good.
I'm really proud of him doing that. And I just wish he would stop. You know, keep the fooling around down. I'm not telling him to stop, but watch what you make it. You know, be reasonable. You know
Well,
what I'm
yeah,
saying?
exactly.
Too many. You already got 3 kids. Come on, man.
Yeah, I
Like,
know. I know.
he's got more. He's got one more kid than I do. All I got's two. Unless one comes knocking on the door one day,
Yeah,
that,
exactly.
that'll be a good surprise for me.
Right.
Like I'll have to explain. You know, I don't know. You know, I have to explain that situation if that ever happens. You know? So I know you want to talk a little bit about the movies that
Yeah,
too. Besides
sure.
that, yeah.
So,
So whatever questions you want to ask me, I'll talk about it.
okay, okay. Here we well, first before we get to the horror movie Massacre, I wanted to
Yeah.
talk about like you actually got to work on two other horror things. You were on Castle Rock with Bill Skarsgård and
That's right.
a Ted
Yeah.
Bun Bundy
Bundy.
film with
Yeah.
Zach F
Yeah.
Efron, and you got to
Efron.
work
Yeah.
with both of them, right?
Yeah. Well, I got to meet both of them on set. I didn't, and I was in like for Castle Rock. If you watch season one, the very first episode, you'll see my profile in the prison. I was a feature background, and then I just became complete background. And there's
Okay.
some scenes there that I'm like so far away in the background, but if you can spot me out, if you take your time to look. And but when I got there, and it's kind of weird because I had worked on Outsiders on WGM, made a lot of good friends there. And one thing I learned about the film industry, you start running to the same PAs, production assistant, the same camera people, the same hairdresser, the same wardrobe people, the same makeup people, the same background people. And I guess I got this charisma about me that stands out, or I stick out like a sore one. Maybe a little both. I don't know. But I get off the shuttle bus after they pick me up from where I parked and take me there, and that was filmed at Moundsville, West Virginia, which, by the way, my stepdad used to be a security guard at. So I thought that was a real treat for me too. Another great thing. And I come in to go into, holding, and everybody's hollering, Richie, 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 like left or right. And I'm looking around and hey, hey, and it's the same production assistant, the same makeup, wardrobe people, the same
Nice.
background actors that I work with and outsiders, same cameraman. I was like, whoa, that's, and everybody's calling my name. I was like, hi, hey, how you guys doing? Shaking hands, and they're like, oh, I'm so happy to see you. So happy. I was like, oh, I'm happy to see all you guys too. I walked by Bill Skarsgård, right?
Yeah.
He's sitting there in the chair and he's looking over while everybody's saying that. And then I walk over there, get my wardrobe, and I have to go out. And I walk over there, and I'm in line. And he looks at me. He goes, "Hey," and he said, "Your name's Richie?" And I said, "Yeah." And he goes, "Man," he goes, "I thought I was supposed to be the star of this show. It seemed like you're the star when you walked in here. Everybody's calling your name, and they call my name. It's like Bill Who, and it's kind of funny. It's like, and then I was like, oh man, that's like, nah, I just worked with them before, just stick out like a sore thumb. And he was real nice, real nice guy. But he made a joke about that with me right there. It's kind of cool.
Yeah,
And then,
exactly.
yeah, it was great working on Castle Rock. I did 3 days there.
Okay.
And I'm going to tell you,
Okay.
I had in one of the far scenes there, far background, there's people lifting weights. I'm one of the people lifting weights. It's me
Oh,
and
nice.
two other guys. Well, man, they had doing take after take after take. And I used to be a bodybuilder when I was younger, and I was, lifting those weights and like over. And when I walked over, I said, "Man, these look like real weights." And I touched them and said, "They are real weights." And I was like, "What in the world? They're going to have us actually working out with real weights?" And so I'm working out. Listen, this was a 15-hour shoot day.
Oh my God.
And I'm sitting there doing take after take after take when I'm working out. I came back on the third day, and they asked me. They said, "Man," I can't believe you worked out that long. Here's how you feel. I said, "Man, I feel like Arnold Schwarzenegger, but when I look in the mirror, I look like Homer Simpson." It was like, and but it was, it was real weights, and I was like, man, I never thought I had that in me. I mean, I worked out lifting. I mean, I was literally lifting the weights and stuff, and the other two
Yeah,
actors just act like they were trying to pretend like they were doing something. I was constantly working on like a madman because you don't know where the camera is,
that's true. That's true.
and
Yeah.
and so I was like, I want to make this look as authentic as possible, and I looked out like a madman, and I was like, "Ooh, man, my arms were sore and feel big and everything." But I look in the mirror and I see Homer Simpson, so big old beer Billy gut, and I was like, and so it was something. But yeah, but yeah, I got to work with a lot of different people like Rosario Dawson from DMZ, the pilot,
Mhm.
was filming the scene, and it rained that day, and we had to wait for a while, and it poured down rain. And listen, DMZ, they paid extra for all that stuff. You
Really?
know, I got a bump and pay for the workout. Like $20 extra. Uh, I got paid for doing the fake cigarette smoking for that too, and on Castle Rock. But on DMZ, they really pay for that extra that rainstorm.
Oh,
And
wow.
we had to work in the mud and everything. And then I'm doing what's called crossings, like just blurry images, people in the background.
Yeah.
And Rosario Dawson, the other actress, she was the principal, was walking down doing their lines. And seeing, even though we're doing crossings, we're still coming back into the scene. It's just like rotating. And then where they said cut, and I went to stop, I almost slid, I almost plowed into Rosario Dawson.
Oh my
And I was like,
God.
oh, I was like, whoa, 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 whoa. And then she turned around and she kind of screamed a little bit and she put her hands up. And then I was like, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I mean, I almost plowed right into her. I mean, I stopped like just like a couple inches away from her, face to face. And I was like, oh, I'm so sorry. I'm sorry. And she started smiling, laughing, and she put her hand on my shoulder. She said, it's okay. I was scared I was going to plow into her, man. I
Oh
mean, I
my
was like, oh
God.
my God, this is a good way to get fired, right?
Yeah,
It's like,
definitely.
it's And then I had to do other scenes with Benjamin Bratt, and then Rosario. I didn't know she was behind me, and I heard people talking, and it's her and Benjamin Bratt, and the other actor that was the star of the episode. And I turned around, I was like, "Oh, it's Rosario," you know. I was like, "I'm sorry." Another. I was getting ready to turn around and walk. I almost bumped into her again. I'm like, "Man, this is like not going to be a good day for me at all."
Yeah,
And Rosario's like, and then I was getting on the bus, and I felt like someone was staring at me. And I looked over, and there's another bus down from where I'm getting on, this bus here, and it's Rosario Dawson just staring at me. And I'm like, what am I going to do? And she's just staring at me. So I just waved my hand and like, hi. And she waved her hand back and smiled. And I got on the bus, and I was like, man, I really hope she thinks I'm not trying to stalk her or trying to hurt her in any way. And it's like, I was like, because I'm having a time where I'm just getting ready to run over her. And then I was like, oh my gosh, this is so embarrassing, and I was like, but it was so cool to talk to Benjamin Brad and Rosario and the other guy, I can't remember his name, but it was really cool. They were really nice. But man, I was like, I don't know what it is. Just I almost slid and plowed into Rosario. I almost turned around, getting ready to walk into her. And I was like, and then she's just staring. I guess she was seeing if I'm going to walk over that way or something, watching out for me or something. But she was a sweetheart, and she was really nice and polite, and I'm thankful that I didn't get fired. So,
true.
But it was an experience, a good experience, and but yeah, the Wrestle Massacre. Now, what was the other horror film you saw that I was in that you loved?
Oh, Ted Bundy.
Oh yeah,
Bundy working with Zach.
Oh yeah, extremely shocking. Foul and yeah, it's a long title on that.
It's a long title, yes.
Yeah, and I didn't know I was picked to be in a specific scene with him, and the director picked me because of my look.
Okay.
Not that I look good, just because I look like a dangerous person, right? So, and then and there's Zach, and Zach's shorter than I thought he was going to be, right?
Oh, really?
Yeah. And he's like Bruce Lee kind of cut shape, right? And so they make him look bigger on film, right?
Well, yeah, exactly.
I thought he was would be taller than me because The Rock's taller than me. And he was in The Rock with Baywatch, and they made them look like they almost made them look like equal height almost in a lot of ways. But he was, he's a short guy, and then I sat there, and he's like, "Man, you look like someone who belongs in prison." I say, "Hey, I'm being escorted out of jail. You get to have my bunk." And he started laughing, and he shook my hand, and I said, my daughter's the one that made me submit to this film because she's a big fan of yours. And he says, really? And I said, yeah. He goes, what's your daughter's name? I said, Madison. He goes, will you tell your daughter Madison that I said hello? And I went back and told my daughter that, and she started crying, like tears in her eyes. Yeah. And she said, what hand did you shake? And I said, this hand, my right hand. And she touched my right hand. She goes, you should never wash this, Dad. And I was like, she was stunned. But when I was there originally, the setup for the scene is he comes off the elevator in shackles with these gigantic, they really put the emphasis on these gigantic muscle security guards and on him being, this mild mannered guy. And then they come up him, and then I'm supposed to come behind him with one little dorky cop that can shove over with one arm, holding me by my arm. And so I'm behind him, and I see the director looking at the camera and the screen, and he's looking over, and he's looking at the screen, looking over. And the director walks over, and he's doing this, and he goes, I think I'm going to have to change this scene setup. I didn't realize that you were bigger than Zach, and I didn't realize that you look more like a serial killer than Zach. We can't have people looking at you because we're trying to portray him as this monster, and I can't have people's eyeballs going to you. Like,
yeah.
I said, no problem. Whatever you want to do, boss. You're the boss. I'm here. I'm being paid. I'm having a good time,
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to make it where you're being escorted out. So they turn me around where he's escorting out. So it's like a probably brief flash where he comes off the elevator, and I just happen to pass by real briefly, and that's it. and
Okay.
which and yeah, because he comes off the elevator and he's got these gigantic security guards, and he comes off and just I just have to go by really quick, far background, and all of a sudden at the cop I could just shove over. I'm being and look, mind you, in that scene, he's being brought in shackles. I'm being escorted out of the prison.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, they're bringing the monster in, but I must be too dangerous for them to handle, so they're kicking me out of the prison. But I tell you what, Zach was always working out on set. He was
right.
doing exercise. Yeah, he knows what makes him his money. He knows
Well,
his
yeah, I
space in his
know.
body. So
Yeah.
he's very smart in doing that, taking care of himself. And it shows how intelligent he is, that he knows what's making his money. And
Oh,
so
definitely. Yeah.
a
Definitely.
lot of respect for him, especially him being nice and all that. And not looking at me too much of a threat to him. So yeah, nice guy, wonderful guy. And had an awesome time meeting him, and it was nice too. I mean, every big name I've met have been really nice, from Ron Hurst to Dave Morris on Outsiders, down to Will Smith on Concussion, and
Yeah.
Albert Brooks on Concussion too, to Michael B. Jordan, Felicia Rashad, to Dolph Lundgren, Brigitte Nielsen, Sylvester Stallone, Tessa Thompson. Oh, Tessa Thompson's a sweetheart. She's just a doll.
Oh, really?
I feel, man, you can fall in love with her real easy if you met her in person. She looks great on screen. When you meet her in person, she's like a sweet, adorable little. She looks like a little girl to me, in person.
Yeah.
She was adorable, sweet, very kind. You can fall in love with her, easy. And meeting them, Felicia Rashad, you can see during that when we filmed Creed 2, that was during the Bill Cosby trial, and you can see the stress from, because she had to go do the trial.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you can tell the tension between Sylvester Stallone and his ex-wife Brigitte Nielsen, because they were never on set together at the same time.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they had a stand-in that looked like Sylvester Stallone there when Brigitte Nielsen was doing her part, and then when Stallone was doing his, they had a stand-in that looked just like Brigitte Nielsen.
Oh my God.
And yeah, and they never was on the set at all at the same time when I was there, and it's crazy. And the guy that played Victor Drago, he was a nice guy, very nice guy, big guy.
Oh yeah, I know. The guy's huge.
And he's doing good in other movies too. So I'm like, wow, this guy's, he's a real straight up boxer and MMA fighter too, on top of it, so
Okay.
I mean,
Okay.
yeah. And Michael B. Jordan taking care of himself. And everybody was nice. Dolph Lundgren was super nice.
Oh wow.
Guy. Everybody's making the ribs with him, telling him, every time he walk by, he says, "I must break you." Or they'll say, if he dies, he dies. And then Dolph's just smiling, because those are small one-liners, and it's like he didn't have really a lot of dialogue. He just had these one-liners.
Exactly.
And it made him famous. And he's just sitting there smiling. You know he's enjoying it. This is what made him famous. And he's sitting there smiling, and he talked to us, and he's like, he said, "I really appreciate people remembering stuff and letting me know, because that really makes me feel good." And of course, Stallone, he talked to us too. And
Nice.
I had auditioned for Escape Plan 2.
Oh, really?
Yeah, actually auditioned. I wasn't tall enough, and my acting wasn't really what it needed to be either. On top of it, and I'm the kind of person, actor, I have to have some kind of context. Even if I'm going for an audition, I got to have some context, something for me to go by, because I do impersonations.
Oh, all right.
When I'm usually acting, it's kind of more of impersonation,
Gotcha.
But Wrestle Massacre was more me being my Cuban assassin character, when I'm being Randy when he's done with Psycho, because my Cuban character is like, "Hey, you pull my stick in here, hey, you stick in ref, you better watch you," and all that. And I kind of stole Sergeant Slaughter with Ivan Koloff's voice. And that's what I was doing there, and kind of put in Eli Warwick from The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly in there. That's why I kind of based the Cuban's voice from, is Eli Warwick from The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. But one bastard walks in, two stinking bastards walk out. So, and that's doing that. And, that's why I kind of do, I kind of just do kind of mimic people, impersonate people, and I have to have some kind of context. So if I don't have any context, I don't know how I'm going to act. I should
Oh,
act like Cheech Marin when I went up there, Instead, I was being like a plain chip, like, hey, man, you okay? What are you doing? I was trying to be me because my acting class, it says be yourself.
yeah,
Maybe
yeah,
I should,
yeah.
I'm thinking maybe I should have went ahead and just did an impersonation, like Cheech, man. Hey, man, what are you doing over there? Hey, you okay, boss? Huh? I should have done that, and when I think about it now, I was like, I should have done that, because, I understand now, yeah, they want to see you, but the best me is me goofing off, and that's me
Okay.
goofing off, and stuff, and I mean, I just that's how it works for me. Uh-oh, my battery's getting ready. My battery's getting ready to go. I didn't realize I've been talking
Oh.
this long. Yeah, I'm gonna have to. But hey, if anybody wants to catch me, I'm on Facebook. They can catch me on Instagram under the same name, Richie Acevedo. It's Acevedo. My Twitter is also Cuban_assassin and the actual number 2. My YouTube channel is Cuban Mano, all one word, lowercase, Cuban Mano, Mano, and the actual number 2. On my YouTube channel, lots of content on there with my matches, my dad's matches, my son, and other content on there too. And if they want to check that out, I got an IMBD page as well. They want to follow my movies and other TV shows I've been in. Just search my name, Richie, Riche, no T, just named like Richie Rich. I was named after Richie Rich, Rchie, and Acevedo, Acevedo, or pronounced Acevedo. And you can see my ugly mug on that, and you can click on it and check out the list of stuff I've done. Hey, this ugly mug gets me places sometimes, besides trouble. But but check out some of that stuff if anybody's interested, and hopefully you'll have me come back again. Maybe after I
Yeah,
get finished with
definitely.
Wrestle, maybe after I get finished Wrestle Master 2. And you can also see some of my movies on Tubi TV, especially The Mountaineer, which is the one I did myself. You can see for free on Tubi TV. It's called The Mountaineer. I'm also in the
Okay.
Zombie Club. Promise to Astrid, Nun Nancy. I'm in that. The Man Who Went to Heaven, Halloween Heroes, Can't Breathe. I'm watching another movie called Godsend. There's 2 Godsend movies, but I'm in the newer version of it. It's not really a remake. It's just a same name, different story. And of course, Wrestle Massacre 1, you can also see on Tubi TV for free. And I encourage everybody to check those films out if they want to see it. And I'm also in The Marshal on Tubi TV also as well. And the next movies come out. Hopefully people will see them here soon. So hopefully
Okay.
people recognize me somewhere other than cops, but cops always see me, think I'm like telling them, hey, that guys don't look like me, they look like you. No one's going to stick out like me. So.
Well, yeah, I definitely want you to come back on again. I mean, I know your
Sure.
battery's dying, so we have to end it, but
Yeah.
I definitely want you to come back on because I would love to talk about Wrestle Massacre and Wrestle Massacre 2. I know you can't really
Sure.
say a lot about the second one, but you know.
Yeah. Yeah. I can't really talk too much about the script. No, I can talk all one about part 1,
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
but I can't talk too much about part 2. And
Yeah.
but I can talk about Was Once a Hero, since it's already been wrapped. And it's just a western. And and of course John Carter Cash is the main bad guy, and I play his younger brother. So be looking out for that one, and next year maybe. And then I'm going to get ready to film The Mountaineer 2 next year as well, which is my story. I'll have another movie of mine coming out called Boxer versus Wrestler and Legends Mountain as well. So
Okay,
I'll send you the
sweet.
links to my Dropbox for
Okay, yeah,
the
definitely.
Mountaineer and Boxer versus Wrestler. You can preview them if you want to do a little preview or
Oh,
something, like you
definitely.
watch the
Yeah.
movie. Feel free to do that. You got my permission to do that.
All right.
So
Thank you. Thank you.
yeah, I know. I mean, that's why I'm here for, to entertain the world, entertain the masses. I mean, to make people smile. That's the whole point. That's what I was born to do, is entertain and perform. So I want people to see my work. I want people to remember me for being somewhat of a good guy. So,
Right. There you go.
no,
Exactly.
I'm nowhere far. I'm far from being the same, but I'm an honest, okay guy, you know. So, but I appreciate you having me on, man, and hopefully you call me again, do it again, and we'll talk more
Oh,
after
definitely.
Wrestle Massacre 2's film. We can talk more. So,
Okay. Yeah, definitely. Definitely.
so it's nice being on here, and I appreciate you, and hopefully you guys that's watching checks out my other outlets there. I do have a Snapchat, but I hate Snapchat. I think that should be illegal. I really think that's illegal. Too many young underage kids on there doing stuff they shouldn't be doing.
Oh, yeah.
That should be closed. And I mean, I was so upset to see something like that out there, but yet it exists, you know. So, but don't contact me on Snapchat. Contact me on the adult stuff, please. I don't want that.
Okay.
Yeah. So I let the kids be kids, and
Yeah, true.
so. But I appreciate you having me on, brother. And I'm sorry if I talk too much. I rumble
Oh
on, but
no, it was great. I love listening to everything. Like your everything you said was great. Your stories about wrestling and being on set for the stuff that Sylvester Stallone and Brigitte Nielsen. So, yeah,
yeah, yeah,
everything
yeah,
you said was great. I loved it.
yeah. Stallone's a great guy, you know. And he's like, "How are you doing?" And I was like, "I'm doing pretty good." He goes, "Do not know you." It's like, auditioned for you once. Oh yeah, glad to see you again. And they probably don't even remember, you know.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, I was like, "Hey, it was Sly. He fist bumped me too," you know. So it was a lot of fun, you know. But yeah, hopefully you guys check out my social media, and hopefully I'll send that to you on here in a little while once my battery charges up, and you can watch those
Okay.
movies. If you want to do a preview of the movies, first time watching, whatever they call that these days,
Yeah.
you know, you feel free to do that.
All
I'm all
right.
about
Thank you.
people, you know, critiquing my film, good or bad. You know, it all works for me. I love attention, so it doesn't matter. You know, I win either way. So, but thanks for having me, man. Hopefully we can do it again, man.
Oh my God, definitely. Yes, definitely.
Well, we'll holler at you sometime later, man. Have fun, and people enjoy the movies, especially pro wrestling. And I'm not much of a horror fan.
Yeah.
And the reason why I do them is because it's a challenge for being an actor, and they're a lot of fun. And there's naked chicks involved too. So, you know, so I'm not going to lie about it. You know, you know, what kind of example I'd be setting if I were you lying. You know what I'm saying?
Right, exactly. You're right.
But hey, guys, take care, and hope everybody has a blessed week, and stay safe, you know, and live the dream, man. Don't be scared to go out and
Definitely.
live the dream. You know,
Definitely.
break the cycle, live the dream. You doing it. You're doing your dream.
Yeah, yeah,
People,
exactly.
yeah, people can do theirs too. I mean, I think they should break the cycle and live the dream, man. Have fun. Life's about experience. It's too short not to, you know, so have fun. So I'll talk to you later, man. It's nice talking to you,
Yeah,
brother.
it was great talking to you. Thank you.
No problem. We'll see you again.
All right, buddy.
Bye bye.
Bye.